this is such a nice view. Okay, this is my first time at a secret bar. But really, is that the entrance? Okay, this just looks too good to eat. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel Living in Canada. This is part 2 of my series of traveling to Montreal and my first impressions. This was last year in the month of May, so just in case you're planning to travel to Montreal around this time of the year, I hope that this video sort of gives you an idea of what to expect. So this is day 2 and we're having coffee at our Airbnb while sorting out our plans for the day. This was going to be a long and exciting day. So our first destination was going to be the Messinov Market in the area of Hochelaga, where our Airbnb was also located. And since it was located very close to our Airbnb, we decided to just walk there. Here you can see at that time there were so many constructions going on, but we did get a good chance to look at the style of the houses in this area. And I would say that the houses here look quite different compared to those that we have in Toronto. Especially these ones here have a really unique facade and the stairway that heads up to the different units. And these ornaments give these apartments or townhouses kind of a relaxed feeling. And after just a few minutes of walking, we arrived at this park here called Parc au Villa Pelletier. And here we are. This is the Messinov Market. It's not a huge market. I would say that it's medium-sized, but so charming. A quick side note about the Messinov Market here. So Messinov Market is one of the 12 or so public markets here in Montreal. Here it says that the city of Montreal manages the Atwater Market, the Jean Talon Market, which we'll go to in part 3, and the Messinov Market, which we're about to visit, and a few other markets. Now let's check it out. Stepping into Messinov Market, the first thing that I notice is that the overall building is definitely smaller than Lawrence Market in Toronto, in case you've been there. But there are a lot of stalls here and you can find everything. There's a cheese stand, you can find fish, meat, produce, staple items, pastries, snacks, and flowers. So let's just walk through it. Here's the produce section and it feels really lively here. And I was really curious to just zoom in and take a look at the prices of the different items. Let's just quickly zoom in here and look at the price of grapes. So $2.99 per pound. This is very similar to what you can find in Toronto. Before visiting Montreal, at first I thought that everything in Montreal is cheaper compared to Toronto. From what I heard, at least rent is definitely cheaper compared to rent in Toronto. But if I look at grocery prices, it seems that it's about the same as in Toronto. Or it could just be that I happen to be in an overpriced place where things are just expensive. So one thing I really love about this market is that everything's so compact. All the items, the products in this market are arranged so densely, so you do not need to walk far to find the stuff that you need. And here we have a beautiful flower section. Another thing I've noticed is that here they're really generously stacking up all the produce. Everything just looks so fresh and so abundant. By the way, in case you watching right now are living in Montreal, please do let me know, do you shop at farmers markets like these on a daily basis or just once in a while? And do you find that it's worth shopping at these places? Is it overpriced or not? Where do you usually buy your fruits and veggies? I'd be really curious to know about that, so please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you. Oh, and some fresh cut watermelon, perfect for the summer. Okay, now we've seen enough. This is a beautiful, beautiful market, but it's time for brunch now. We are super, super hungry. So we're heading to the bakery now, passing this florist, and there's a butcher here as well. And here we are at the boulangerie and it looks so good. It looks very, very promising. But let's see later after we've bought our food. So they have a great assortment of bread, of pastries here. Let's look at the croissants here. They are unbelievably cheap. I mean, come on, 6 fresh croissants for $7. This was last year's price, so the price might have gone up a bit, but still. And it looks so appealing. You can really see the layers of the croissants and the glistening butter on top. We were really having a hard time making our choice here. And here's the pastry section, also very, very tempting. So this cake down here, berry cake, I think costs $4.95, which is quite reasonable, I think. That's also what you can expect to pay in Toronto. They just look so gorgeous. And here they also have a packaged item section where you can just buy items for takeout, different cuts and pies. and some frozen stuff also here on the right hand side. Over here also some coffee, granola, jams or marmalade I think, and some vinegar. Okay, time to get our food. So apparently how it works here is, like at many bakeries, you have to get a ticket and then wait for your number to be called out. So we got our ticket and waited, but because we were kind of busy just looking around, checking out the bakery, we skipped our turn once and then we had to pull another number, but never mind, we have time. So here's our number and waiting, and then finally it's our turn. So after some deliberation, we decided to get a set of 3 salads for sharing. And yes, the sandwiches here do look so yummy, but the ham and cheese croissants, the croque déjeuner looked even better, and we just had to get those. And I know it sounds kind of boring, but all of us just got the same ham and cheese croissant. But just in case you're curious to know what the sandwiches cost, here you can see that this sandwich with salmon cost $8.95, and this one with a chicken and guacamole also $8.50. And heading into the croissant now. Actually, it's called croque déjeuner. It's a croissant with cheese and ham, and it costs $6.95, and it looks so delicious. Here you also got a selection of teas, but I'm a coffee person. In the morning, I do need to have my coffee. I know I had one earlier at the Airbnb, so this would be my second coffee of the day. So paying here at the cashier using a credit card, it came to $38.40, and this did not include a tax yet. So I will show that to you later on the receipt. Brunch time now, finally. So my brother got 1 croque déjeuner, and we also had the salad, and the salad really exceeded my expectations. It was one of the best salads I had so far, and it seems like a small portion, but it was actually quite filling. So look at the croissant, look at the ham and the cheese, and it was just so buttery and flaky. Okay, this over here, I know it looks like a soup, but this is actually my latte, and it is the largest latte I've ever had in my whole life. It's basically a bowl, so this is my brother here drinking my coffee. And I know, guys, I'm spending a disproportionate amount of time here at the Messinov Market, but I was just so impressed by it, and I just wanted to share my experience with you guys. And yes, the coffee was also superb. It was really good. And here's a quick look at our receipt. So the total was $37.30, and then there's a GST of $1.87, that's 5%. And then there is QST, the tax in the province of Quebec, which is I think 9.975%, which amounts to $3.72. So our total is $42.89. So not really cheap, but considering that we were on holiday, it was really worth it. By the way, guys, before I continue, if you're enjoying this video so far and you like it, then please do let me know by hitting the like button. I would really appreciate that, because that would help me to get my video out to more people. Thank you. And also, while you're at it, please comment down below what you find interesting about this trip and questions that you might have about my trip to Montreal. And just in case I cannot answer your question, I am sure that there are a lot of people living in Montreal popping in right now to watch the video who will be able to answer your question. So if you're living in Montreal, then I do invite you to add to the comments down below to provide some additional information and context that could be useful to anyone who would like to travel to Montreal. Thank you so much. And from there, we initially planned to go to the Botanical Gardens. But as I told you before in part 1 of this series, it was so hot in Montreal during that time. It was around 34-35 degrees Celsius, and the sun was just scorching hot. And again, this time we took the Bixi bikes because the Botanical Garden complex was just around 5 minutes away. And just in case you have not watched part 1 of this series yet, then I want to let you know that using Bixi, this shared bike system in Montreal, is a great and practical and also affordable way to get around in the city of Montreal. And if you want to know more about how to use Bixi, then you can check out this video up here. And here we are near Botanical Gardens, and right at the front you can see the Biodome. The Botanical Gardens are actually behind it. So what can you do at the Biodome? The Biodome is a facility at which you can experience 5 different ecosystems, including the tropical rainforest and also the subantarctic island. And right beside the Biodome is also a theater, just in case you want to watch a movie on your holiday. So within this whole big complex, you can find the Biodome, the Insectarium, the Botanical Garden, and the Planetarium as well. So if you want to use you could, in theory, spend your whole day here. And I think especially if you have children with you, then it will be a really fun day here. I would highly recommend you to visit during cooler seasons of the year, because in the summer it is, for me personally at least, just too hot. And because of that, we thought that we just pass on the Botanical Gardens and just take a peek into the biodome instead. So let's step into the biodome now. And stepping into the biodome, the building, the architecture is just amazing. I mean, look at the skylight here. I feel like I'm in some Stanley Kubrick film or so. It's really, really impressive. In case you're curious to know about the admission, at that time, admission for adults was $22, and for seniors and students and kids, there's also a special price. Ages 5 to 17 only pay $11, and if you go as a family, you pay $60.75 for 2 adults and 3 children, so not too bad. But no, we did not go inside that day because we still had a lot of plans, a lot of places that we wanted to check out. We didn't want to spend all day just at this one place. So instead, we just decided to take a look around inside the biodome. And we also visited this small cafe here. It's a canteen, actually, I think. You can get food and refreshments and ice cream. And yeah, we just got some water and also a kombucha for $4.50. And then we were out of there, headed to Atwater Market now. Biodome and gardens next time. Now today we wanted to finally try out the subway, or the metro, here in Montreal. This was the first time using the metro, and luckily there was a station right next to the biodome, which is called the Vieux Station. And look at these doors, they're just so retro. So pushing through these doors. Okay, this was going to be our route. So we're at Vieux Station now, and actually we should have gotten off the subway at Lionel Groulx, but I don't know why. At that time, I think Google directed us to go to Place Saint-Henri. I don't know, because there was a construction or something perhaps. But anyways, I think that the shortest route to the Atwater Market would be to get off at Lionel Groulx. First things first, we needed to get some subway tickets, metro tickets, and it's pretty easy to get them. We just went to one of these machines here and just clicked our way through it. And most things, yes, they're written in French, but if you tap your way through the system, then you will find an English translation of everything. So we simply selected one trip for each of us at $3.50. So 3 fares for the 3 of us was $10.50 in total. And I think those tickets were also valid for a certain time frame. So within 2 or 3 hours, I'm not sure how long it was, you would be able to use the ticket to get on and off the subway. And again, here we paid with our credit card. And here are our tickets and sales receipt. And here we are waiting for the train. Starting to move now. So we got off at Place Saint-Henri instead of Lionel Groulx, but I really don't regret it because this station was just so beautiful. So I was really happy that we got to visit it. The architecture is really, really unique. It had these really, really high ceilings, this long stairwells that connected the underground to the mezzanine. And after checking Wikipedia, my suspicion was confirmed. The station was built in the 80s, and thus the very strong 80s vibe in architecture. And I'm really happy that they left it that way and that they didn't modernize it. So moving up the escalator, exiting the station, we had to go up another flight of stairs to the exit. So here's Place Saint-Henri. And from here, we needed to walk around 10 minutes to get to the Atwater Market. So we walked through the neighborhood. And as a tourist, it's just such a wonderful experience being in another city and absorbing all the different sights. Everything looks slightly different, like the buildings, the colors, and especially the atmosphere. And because it was in the month of May and it was super warm, there were a lot of cafes open and people sitting outside and chatting. So it was a very, very relaxed and nice atmosphere. And here we're arriving at the Atwater Market, and right at the front you can see there are tons and tons of plants and flowers sold. And considering that it was already around 4 p.m., it felt really lively at this market. Fruit stands and flowers again. Walking on, there are a lot of specialty stores selling anything from chocolates to cheeses and more cheese. And compared to Lawrence Market in Toronto, I felt a really different vibe here at this market. At the Lawrence Market, I have the feeling that most people just walk through. There are many tourists. I never really seen anyone shopping. Maybe I just didn't notice it. But here at Atwater Market, I could see tons of locals. At least I assume they were locals because they were there with their cars, and they shopped for flowers and loaded them onto their car. They bought groceries. I feel that this is a place where people actually buy stuff for their daily needs. If you're from Montreal, then please do let me know if that is actually the case. Do you shop at these kinds of markets, or is it just for window shopping because everything is so expensive? And we spent about half an hour there, and after that we knew that it was time for a beer. And our next destination was going to be the microbrewery Messinov, which was about 5 minutes away. And this one seemed to be very, very popular with a rating of 4.8 and a lot of really great reviews. And this time we took an Uber. So arriving at Messinov, this brewery was one of my favorite places. Just look at that water tank up there. This was really a brilliant, a genius idea to turn this abandoned factory or whatever it was into a microbrewery. An interesting fact, it turns out that this Messinov microbrewery was founded by 3 very creative friends, one of whom was a guitarist, one was a drummer, and a hip-hop artist who just learned the craft of brewing and opened this microbrewery. And a lot of people actually came here on their bikes. And stepping in, they have this really, really cool skull logo here, and the graffiti was also just awesome. Hi Garfield, Messinov. So the place was just stunning, and they had this hip-hop music playing, and here are a few seconds of the music. I just blended out the rest for copyright reasons, just to give you an idea what to expect, but it was really good music and it really set the tone nicely. Time to get some drinks right from the bar. So I just loved how we could just walk up to the bar and get our drinks ourselves and bring them to our seat instead of just wasting time sitting around and waiting for a waiter to get us our drinks. But it turned out that the queue was actually pretty long, and it wasn't even 5 p.m. And this was the menu. And in total, the 3 of us spent $51.92. And no, those weren't just drinks, but we also got a calamari. Then we got ourselves some really nice seats outside in the shade, and these were our delicious beers. So the beers were obviously very good, but I must say that the star of the show was the calamari dish. It was so good, and definitely get this if you ever visit Messinov. And here's our bill, guys, just to show you again. The subtotal was $39.50, GST $198, QST $394, and then a tip of $681. I think that amounted to about 17%, and in total we spent $52. This was definitely one of my favorite places that I visited, and I absolutely recommend it. So after Messinov was done, it was time for another Bixi ride. And this, I think, was the nice part of the day. We did not have any concrete plans, but a friend who was living there in Montreal at the time was planning to pick us up after work, and we didn't know where she would take us, so it would kind of be a surprise. We decided to just bike along the Lachine Canal and just absorb the beautiful view of it. So this was more or less the route that we took from not Messinov but across Messinov, and then we biked along the Lachine Canal until we got to this area here between Little Burgundy and Griffintown. So we really didn't know where we were heading. We were just exploring the area. So at some point we just returned our bikes because we saw a Bixi station, and then we just continued to walk around the neighborhood. This was really the unstructured part of our trip, which I actually love to have. Before I continue, a very quick shout out to Pop-Off Leather, who last year sent me this really awesome leather journal cover for my moleskin notebook, and this is where I have been doing a lot of my planning for my projects, my YouTube channel, and also my travel. Although I marked this video as containing a promotion, actually I am not sponsored. Pop-Off Leather was just so kind to send me this for free. There were no strings attached. I just enjoyed this leather journal so much, and I thought that I needed to return a favor to them and just give them this quick shout out. But who knows, perhaps in the future they might want to collaborate. So in case Pop-Off Leather, you are watching this right now, then feel free to contact me. So we were walking for a while until we came across this Marche Italian, and we just hung out here while enjoying the AC. So let's check this out. It was a really pretty small grocery store with various household items. There were pastries, and you can also have coffee here. And by the way, I want to show you something. I got this towel here, and this was actually the only thing that I bought in Montreal. I mean, I very rarely buy souvenirs like those touristy souvenirs from the places that I visit, but this tea towel here, I just thought this was very pretty and affordable, so I just got this. By the way, I really noticed a difference in the decoration style in many stores in Montreal compared to Toronto, for example. There's a different way I noticed that things are laid out here. There's kind of a feeling of abundance and a natural way, not too neat style of laying things out. It feels as though things were just kind of put together coincidentally without much thought. It doesn't look artificially set up at all, but it just ends up looking splendid and appealing. So it was around 7ish, and then our friend arrived. So we stepped into the car, and then our friend told us that she would take us to Mont Royal. Of course, if you ever visit Montreal, you have to visit Mont Royal, right? And it was about an 11-minute car drive away. And for once, it was really nice not having to think about where to go next or how to get there. We just sat back and relaxed. From Mont Royal parking, which you can see pinpointed here, it was about a 15-minute or 12-minute brisk walk up to the sunset outlook. And it was a really nice walk up there. And here we are. A lot of people were hanging around, but it was nice that it wasn't too crowded. Perhaps because it was a working day and it was close to 8 p.m. And it was the perfect time because we could start seeing this golden layer descend upon the city. And the view was just so beautiful. And one of the best things of all was that this was a free attraction. And especially if you're on a budget, then this is one of the things that I would recommend you to do. So we just stood here for a while and just absorbed the view and just enjoy the breeze up here. Okay, one interesting thing, there's a signage here that says Mont Saint-Hilaire, and it actually points to the mountain called Saint-Hilaire. Here you can see it. And now the sun was going down and we were starting to get hungry. So we drove down the mountain again at around, I think, 8:10 or so. And after a 10-minute drive, we arrived at an area called Meal End, where there were tons of restaurants and bars and cafes around. And if we were on our own, we just wouldn't know what to choose and waste a lot of time. But luckily, our friend was there with us, so she immediately recommended a place for us to go and hang out. And the name of the bar was called Le Darling. I really enjoyed the atmosphere and the vibe here. And I don't know why, guys, but suddenly I just forgot to take footage. I think I was so mesmerized by the place and we were so absorbed in conversation because we hadn't met our friend in a long time. So I just forgot to take footage. But luckily, I think my brother or my husband took a photo here. You can see me here in the picture. So at least I have some memory of the place. And in total, the three of us, so I, my brother, and my husband, we spent $107.50 together. So what did we have? Each of us had a drink, and maybe one or two of us had more than one drink. And we also got some food, these tiny but very delicious plates here. I'm not totally sure what these are called, so I'm just gonna take a peek at the menu. And because I forgot to take a picture of the menu as well, I'm just gonna grab it here from Restaurant Guru. Here's the menu. I'm not sure if this is the most recent menu though. We got the salmon tartare with sour cream and the Nordic shrimp ceviche, and also the popcorn fried chicken. That was something that our friend recommended to us. Okay, moving on, guys. And the next destination was going to be a sort of a secret bar. So in Montreal, there are a lot of secret bars. So they do not have any door signage. There's nothing written on the door or anything that indicates that it is a bar. It just looks like a plain regular door that you would just walk past. So here in Timeout, it says, knowing which unmarked doors lead you to award-winning mixologists and incomparably cool settings is unlike anything else in the city. We're talking Hideaway, home to the best cocktail bars in Toronto, blah, blah, blah. So the place that we were heading to was also on this list. It was listed number 4 and called Big in Japan Bar. And obviously now it's not much of a secret anymore. I mean, it's out there on a blog. But honestly, before our friend told us about this, I wasn't really aware about these bars, so it was really an exciting and new experience. So guys, this is from Google Maps. This is what the street looks like. The junction in front of the bar, and then here at the corner you can see this this dark colored door, and that's where Big in Japan is, if I remember correctly, because it was a while ago. So we stepped into Big in Japan, and the whole atmosphere was really dark and secretive and very private, and they had these long bar tables. We just sat at one of them and started ordering some drinks. And here the three of us again spent $62.60. The interesting thing about this bar here, and also many other bars, is that you can actually buy a bottle of liquor, for example, and leave your bottle there, and they will hang it up there for you and put your name on it, so the next time you come again with your friends, you can consume your alcohol from your own bottle. And again, here we only spent about 45 minutes or so, and then we were off to the next destination. Our friend wanted to show us a very popular club called Club Pelicano. And one of the reasons why the club is well known is because it used to be a swimming pool, and this swimming pool was converted into a bar, so it had a very unique layout. So we went in there, and it was a very cool vibe, and we started ordering drinks, but for some reason our drinks never arrived because it was so busy, and it turned out that I don't know, at that time they had some kind of problem or staff shortage at the place, and in the end, we just didn't want to wait any longer and decided to leave the place and go somewhere else. So it was a long day, and our friend needed to go home, but she recommended us to go to another secret club called the Cold Room. So she couldn't go with us, but she drove us there, she dropped us off there, and she showed us the door that we needed to enter through. And it was just a 7-minute drive away from Club Pelicano, so everything was kind of in that area. So the three of us stepped out of the car, and we just noticed that we were tired and we were just not in the mood anymore to go to a club. I know back then, when I was still studying in Germany, in Heidelberg and in Mannheim, I would go clubbing and then go home at, I don't know, at 2, at 3 or even 4 a.m. But nowadays I just don't really love doing that anymore. And my brother and my husband, they also weren't really up to it. So all of us just agreed to head back to the Airbnb. So we walked over to Place Jacques-Cartier, which was very close nearby. We had not visited during the day, but it was very nice to come here at night because it wasn't hot anymore and there was a bit of a breeze in the air, and we just waited there for our Uber to arrive. And we finally got back to our Airbnb at around 12:15. That was a day 2. That was a super long day. We did a lot of things and it was so exciting. And part 3 and the last part of this series will actually follow very soon. And in that part, we're finally going to have some poutine and the best sandwiches that we ever had here in Canada. So if you do not want to miss out on part 3, which will be coming out in the following weeks, make sure that you are subscribed. And in that case, also hit the notification button and make sure that it's turned on to all notifications, because only if you do that will YouTube notify you if there's a new video from me. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and do not forget to leave your comments down below. Thanks guys, and see you again soon. Bye.